here is my wonderful, wonderful panel. We have our director, Madeleine Sackler, who is so talented. This is her first feature film. Can you imagine the masterpiece as a first film and also being shortlisted for the Oscars? It's really pretty incredible. Thank you for coming and letting me show your film. As well as we have Jessica Gonzalez, who is a parent at Public Prep, which is the organization that Ian Rowe is the CEO of. Let's start with Madeleine. Tell me, what made you decide to do a film about education and really focused on a specific part of education, which is charter schools?
Sure. So I saw news footage of the lottery that we ended up featuring in the film a few years ago and was really struck by what you saw, which was the thousands of parents lining up around the block, forced to cross their fingers and hope to win what every parent deserves, which is a great education for their children. And what really struck me about it is that it sort of flew in the face of everything that I had heard up to that point with regards to the achievement gap. And you hear that the problem is culture, or you hear that the problem is poverty, or that certain parents don't care. And then you saw the opposite of that. You saw 6,000 parents in Harlem wanting this thing. And so I really wanted to tell their story. I did a lot of research and I felt like the parents' perspective was left out of the conversation. You hear from the teachers, you hear from the union, you hear from the politicians, and you don't really hear from the people who are most affected, which are parents and kids.
Educate yourselves on what charter schools are. Don't let anyone else tell you what they are. Go out and find out, what they do. Go out and find out how parents and children feel about the schools that they're in, not just charter schools, but their public schools. And really go see for yourself. Don't let any one particular person tell you what anything is.
Know this is better. You have to hear it from your neighbors, from your peers who have their kids in their schools. Ultimately, charter schools are not a silver bullet answer for education. I think we have to do a better job of showing compassion and concern for those same parents that are so scared. Everything that we're doing is actually designed to prove that every kid can actually achieve a great education. And it's not a competition with traditional public schools, but there are a lot of forces out there, unions and others, that are threatened by the very success that we achieve.
The most egregious story, which I told earlier, is out of LA, because this is happening all over the place. And a teacher found someone handing out pamphlets outside of a KIPP academy that said that if you enter your kid into this lottery, you could be deported. And it's in a highly immigrant community, and honestly, it's like a turf war that's going on right now over the future of public education. And I think the question that we have to ask ourselves is, do we really think that a one-size-fits-all approach makes any sense whatsoever?
This is a special moment created by Waiting for Superman, created by the lottery, created by a president who has, among other things, issued legislation for Race to the Top, which put about $4.5 billion competitively. So we are at this unique moment where people are recognizing that this isn't just an issue that affects black kids or poor kids, that it's actually affecting global competitiveness.
Right, an international achievement gap between the US and the rest of the world. If we lose face now by our children not to, and our students not following and not being up to standard for a first world country, oh my God, maybe that will propel politicians, teachers, the president to move and do something about it so that the nation can actually bridge the gap first. Is the jury still out on the charter school movement? And can you really tell the difference between a good charter school and a bad charter school?
Yeah. So my answer to that is I think the jury should always be out, right? Because, once we start saying, oh, we're done, then we're just as bad as tenure, right? So there should always be a regular mechanism to evaluate performance. Charter schools are not the silver bullet. There are bad charter schools that I would not send my daughter to. There are great traditional public schools that I'd love to send my daughter to. What the difference is, what are the actual techniques that are being deployed within the school, whether it's a traditional charter school or a traditional public school.